Cable Suite 541's coverage of the 83rd Academy Awards is brought to you by Ashtabula County Medical Center, your first choice for health. Kent State University at Ashtabula. Earn a bachelor's degree in nursing, communications, business, and more, entirely on the Ashtabula campus. True North Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. Friendly sales and professional service. Let's put you in the driver's seat. Carmike Cinema's Mall 6 at the Ashtabula Town Square, playing Hollywood's newest blockbusters in digital projection. EB & Company at the Ashtabula Town Square, now featuring American Commodore Tuxedo. It's not prom without EB & Company. Star 97 FM. The Star Beacon. WhySoBlue.com. Magic Oldies 1025. Suite 224 Internet. And 98.3 The Bulb.
Hey, Ken Johnson here with Cable Suite 541. We're with Ohio native from New Knoxville, Randy Haberkamp, the Director of Education and Special Projects here at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. In case you can't tell watching this, that we are actually in the Samuel Goldwyn Theater, and I'm doing my best to pretend that I've been here before and not think about it, but it is awe-inspiring. Randy, the other part of your job is the educational programs and the outreach. I know last year we were talking about, I think it was a musical program in cartoons. What are some of the programs that have been held in this theater in the past year in the educational silo?
Yeah, well, my last year, my biggest program that was really not only a huge hit, but also more work than I expected it to be. We did. I did a whole series of retrospective on film noir, with the idea being that it was film noir movies that in the 40s that had received Oscar nominations in the writing category. And the reason that caught my eye was usually when you think of film noir, you think of black and white film, and you think of detectives and all that kind of stuff, or cinematography, maybe a couple of actors like Bogart or something like that. But when I noticed that the nominations for the films of that genre were almost all in writing, I thought, well, that's very important. So what we did is we picked 15 of those films. We started and I was able to get a number of actresses who were still alive from film noir to come and participate. But I had each one of the films introduced by a contemporary screenwriter, a member of the Academy, many of them Oscar nominees, and I thought that was going to be a pretty daunting task. And it was amazingly easy, but the hard part was they were fighting over which film to introduce. Everybody wanted to introduce Double Indemnity. I mean, it was really interesting. And so I had these really incredible writers coming to talk about why they love film noir and what it meant to them. And, of course, when I had a younger audience show up wanting to see these films on the screen for the first time, because these writers were speaking, it was a really great way for a younger generation to see how an older generation had affected the modern generation. So it was like a three-generational thing going on, and it was really wonderful. And people just really were amazed at how fresh these movies that were 60 years old still were. So that was really fun. We had a tribute to Blake Edwards. His last public appearance was right here where we were sitting. It was a very touching moment. I got to work very closely with his wife, Julie Andrews, to make sure that the evening went off very well. And we were mainly concerned about one thing, and that was that Blake feel honored because he was just an incredible filmmaker. And, of course, I grew up watching Pink Panther and The Great Race and all those movies as a kid, so it was a real thrill for me to be able to pay tribute to such an icon. And we have a picture of him where he had had a lot of difficulty walking, and at the end of the evening he decided he wanted to stand up, and that was a real proud moment for him. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house, so it was really terrific. The thing that's what's so great about the award show. I mean, people want to say, why don't they get rid of some of those awards or whatever? They're not interested. But if you really pay attention to what's going on the show, you're really learning about filmmaking and you're really learning about visual arts. And the thing that I think in the age of social media and Facebook and Twitter and all this kind of stuff, yes, we're sitting there texting and we're using words, but at the same time that all that is going on, the rest of our world is just a barrage of images that are meant to affect what we buy, how we act politically, all kinds of things. And the way those images are edited, put together, and whether it's a billboard or a movie, all of these things are hitting us in a certain way. And if we aren't aware of how that communication works, then we don't control it.
Sure.
It controls us. So in order to understand how movies work and in order to appreciate the effort that go into them and also be able to really know when somebody's done a great job, you really have to understand these things. And every, you see the credits roll by and you go, what are all those people and what do they do? And when you think about basically with a film, especially a really huge budget film like Inception, I mean, which is an incredible achievement. There are literally thousands of people who are all trying to match that director's vision. It is an army being, geared up for a battle, and if the battle is successful, people go see the movie and have a great time and think it's wonderful and talk about it for centuries, Mm-hmm. And if it's not successful, it's like in the remainder bin, So being able to talk to artists who spend their life's work in trailers and on location and in airports, where we all think about the glamour of Hollywood, and actually it's an international word now.
Sure.
It's all over the place. And to hear about, oh, yes, well, there we were, and it was muddy, and it was cold, and we were, or this guy had his arm trapped in a rock, and we had to figure out how to make that doable on a daily basis, or we had to figure out how to make this guy's lips look cracked because he was supposed to be in Siberia,
Sure.
All of these things that, we take for granted because we're involved in the story. These are all storytellers.
Right.
And they're all people who go back to the caveman days where you were sitting around a fire and the way that people united and bonded and felt like it was time to, take another day's rest was that they had that common bond and they had that idea that, okay, it's going to be okay, tomorrow is another day, and this is how we're going to go on. This is how the tradition continues. I know that's...